Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Sherryl Cusseaux. It is the second hour of our show. Welcome, November. I know all of our radio listening audience went out to vote on yesterday. Thank God it's over. Congratulations to all of our political servants who were able to retain their seats or not, and to those who just fought a great fight. Congratulations. That's not what this show is all about, but we want to take this opportunity to congratulate you and hope everybody got out to go and vote so that hopefully we can continue to move our country in a totally new and different direction. But that being said, it's a phenomenal month. We have two phenomenal guests. I'm going to take this opportunity to welcome my co-host back to the show, Dr. Shani Davis.
Lord have mercy. Cheryl, I've been Shade for so long. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for listening in. Welcome to Let's Talk Business for Diabetes Awareness Month. As you know, I am just very passionate about diabetes and helping the members of underserved communities and minority communities because we tend to be most affected to know more about their diabetes in order to improve their role, their self-efficacy. Today, we have two phenomenal guests to share with you their insight on diabetes and also to help us to do what we can to increase the footprint of an important national resource, the American Diabetes Association, in our community, as well as a local footprint with Tracy's House. We have Dr. Tracy Thompson with us today, and we also have Micah, not Mika, but Michael, shoot, I'm sorry, Micah Lil, in trying to get that right, Micah Lil, and she is the Florida Executive Director of the American Diabetes Association. Cheryl, will you introduce both of our guests for us?
I am, and I'm so looking forward to it. I've had the pleasure of meeting them virtually. And listen, our engineer is telling us that there's a call on the line already. Okay. So DJ CEO, we're in case they have a question for both of our doctors. Let's find out who's on the line, and then we'll go into both of our guests' introductions. DJ CEO, who do we have? Or do we still have them? Well, if you're not, you know the show is live, and so the show must go on. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, Ms. Michael Lil is the Executive Director in Florida for the American Diabetes Association for more than 15 years. She worked in health systems as a lab supervisor and community health director before devoting her work full-time in the nonprofit space. Congratulations. She has a master's degree in public health. She is a diabetes care and education specialist and continues her studies in doctoral school for public health. Congratulations. Her work focusing on diabetes has led to opening an endocrinology center in Florida and serving the American Diabetes Association's mission to prevent and cure diabetes and to improve the lives of all people affected by diabetes. And let's just take this opportunity to just say a personal welcome, Ms. Lil, to the show. What say you?
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to get to share the ADA's mission, especially to all of the people in Florida right now. And I just appreciate them in this little bit of rainy weather we have here in the state of Florida to tune in to really what we all are offering in the state for Diabetes Awareness Month.
Well, I like what you said, what we all are offering, and that's what we're actually going to hear about today. So thank you. And now we introduce Dr. Tracy Thompson. She is a board certified internist with an 18+ year experience as a healthcare executive. Dr. Thompson joined Humana Healthy Horizons in 2021 as its chief medical officer for its Florida Medicaid plan. Dr. Thompson is also founder of Dr. Tracy's House, Inc., a nonprofit organization that aims to improve health equity by empowering the community within the very zip codes that currently correlate with worse health conditions. This mission of Dr. Tracy's house is to bring health, wellness, and sustainability to local communities. Dr. Thompson earned a bachelor's degree from Georgetown University and a Doctor of Medicine degree from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Dr. Thompson was a distinguished member of the inaugural graduating class from Howard University's Executive MBA program in 2023. And again in 2013, and again in 2014. She earned the distinction as a certified physician executive. Dr. Tracy Thompson, welcome to the show.
Are you there?
Thank you.
My goodness, we have two phenomenal experts that are in the house today. So appreciative of the work that you've done, both scholastically and as well in the community, both supporting and working with nonprofit organizations. But Dr. Tracy Thompson, you hit something when you said those zip codes. I'm looking forward to hearing what those zip codes are. But again, what say you, and welcome to the show, Dr. Tracy Thompson.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here, part of Diabetes Awareness Month. Really here calling from Dr. Tracy's house in East Tampa. Really excited to bring awareness, bring extra learning and education to the community. So just excited to be here.
And I'd love to hear more about how you were able to isolate those specific zip codes so that all of us can tune in. Let me take this opportunity to say a special thank you again to the both of you for joining Let's Talk Business with SJC and Dr. Davis. We were up too late, y'all, with the election results. So y'all forgive us. We're trying to pull it all together. But that being said, let me check in with Dr. Davis and her sound check. Are you with us?
I'm with you, Cheryl. I am with you today.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thank you to our In Touch News family, our Facebook family, our Let's Talk Business, those of you who are joining the show live on Facebook. The show is also live on YouTube. It's also live on In Touch News Radio. Here's a great opportunity if you're taking your lunch break with us and you're listening in, please like and share this link for this information because it is affecting our community directly. I know from personal experience, and you've got the best in the house, and that's Dr. Davis. So let me check in with DJ CEO because we had a caller on the line. DJ? Okay, well, there's some inclement weather going around, so we'll probably be bouncing in and out. But that being said, we have Dr. Davis, and she is going to shed some light on specifically about the lives of these two great women and the work that they are doing in our community. Dr. Davis, you have the mic.
Absolutely, and thank you again for being with us. I have disclosed before because sometimes we go through these grieving stages, grieving the loss of health as we know it, denial, depression, anger, bargaining, all before we get to acceptance. And part of my acceptance as someone with pre-diabetes, and I'll get to my sentiment on that a little bit later, is just to let people know it's not always considered your fault. Sometimes it's just genetics. So I'd like to start and allow our guests to weigh in on this. I'm passionate about diabetes because it, affects our community and now it affects me. So Micah, if you could share, why are you passionate about diabetes awareness and what has the ADA done in our community to help us know that you're present?
Thank you. So that's usually the first question I get about me personally is why I'm so passionate about diabetes. And I am fully transparent that I do not live with diabetes. I've never had anyone in my family with diabetes. So everybody, why are you so passionate about it? I worked in clinical for so long. And then when I went into public health, I just kept seeing these people living with diabetes at every age and type 1 and type 2. And when I was trying to find resources, I was trying to find places, someone would get diagnosed, leaving their primary care, leaving the urgent care, and they didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't know what to do. And I just could not understand how we were letting that happen. Like, I didn't understand it. So for me, that was the moment I decided that one individual, there has to be something we can all do. And if I was just one more person to, advocate, educate to that mission. So that was my personal aha moment, that I decided that this was probably going to be what my calling was to do with my life. And I was going to make for sure that didn't happen again to all these other people. As far as the ADA, I think over time, we know that we're the standards of care. We know that people come to us, but I think we're evolving as the ADA. I think we're starting to see that we have done an amazing job inside the walls of healthcare systems and making sure we're giving the education to our physicians and our diabetes educators. But I think now we're starting to see, what are we doing inside these little areas, these zip codes, as Dr. Thompson said. What are we doing inside the zip codes that don't necessarily have a healthcare system or have physicians on every single corner, or even a grocery store on every single corner? So I think that is the ADA's involvement and where we are going to, where we started, and we're continuing that mission into 2023.
That's awesome. It sounds like that, as time went on, you recognize that social determinants of health play a big role in diabetes success, and also one's self-efficacy. That's their belief that they can win in diabetes. They can live with diabetes instead of the burden of diabetes. And I think that's so important. Dr. Tracy, in Tracy's house, what does Tracy's house do to promote diabetes awareness, reduce the impact of diabetes in the communities? It's nice that, actually it warms me to know these zip codes, because this is where the impact needs to be in those minority communities. Tell us about Tracy's house.
Yeah, so I thought of the concept of Dr. Tracy's house in early 2020, before COVID hit. Really wanted to give back to the community. And I looked at the community needs assessments that the hospitals here in Tampa put together every 3 years. And it showed the zip codes, and the zip codes in East Tampa. So 33605, 33604, 33610, 33612, all of those zip codes where predominantly Black and Brown families live. And I really wanted to focus and bring the resources, whether it's medical, behavioral health, social, nutritional, pharmaceutical, bring all those into a place that in a more coordinated fashion to those who have insurance and who don't have insurance. And when you asked initially about that, why are you so passionate? Diabetes is personal for me. My younger brother, Billy, was diagnosed at the age of 29 with diabetes. He unfortunately did not have insurance, so it was difficult for him to see the doctor. It was difficult for him to even get his medications, which he at that point was, type 2, but he needed insulin, but was between places to live. And so unfortunately, he had frequent infections, multiple toe amputations, and at the age of 35, he died due to complications of diabetes. That was 9 years ago. Following that, I was blessed to be part of the Florida Leadership Board, Community Leadership Board with the ADA. And I have been a local advocate, working with the walk, with the Tour de Cure, really trying to get the message out. And here what we do now is part of, through a grant from the Pfizer Foundation with the ADA, we do provide through a live-in control diabetes education program that we are really providing that information through our series, our curriculum, to individuals who have diabetes, maybe pre-diabetic, or just have family members and they want to learn more. We have touched people's lives. We have saved lives, I know. And so for me, it really was a mission really to honor my brother, who, if he had a place like Dr. Tracy's house, he would have still be alive today. So for me, this is more in honor of him and the sacrifice that he made that really woke me up to seeing how much I needed to do for the community.
Wow, absolutely. And I can understand why you're passionate about it. As a matter of fact, you and I met on that leadership board, and I heard a portion, of your story, and I didn't know all those things about your brother. Minorities are affected by the complications of diabetes at rates, greater than other populations. With more than 37 million Americans with diabetes, 23% of those are undiagnosed, and 96 million have pre-diabetes, meaning on their way to diabetes. I say that pre-diabetes is like being a little bit pregnant. Okay, you kind of are or you're not, because diabetes is not a sugar problem, but an insulin deficiency problem. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I have to cross with patients when I meet them, in my practice, changing that mindset of I can't have sugar to I got, and also I got a little bit of sugar too. What can we do to preserve what insulin making capacity that I have when we have type 2 diabetes? I say all that to pivot back to Micah. With diabetes being such an epidemic, Dr. Tracy's house is in the right spot in Tampa. Can you tell us more about what the Diabetes Association does specifically to reach minority communities?
Yes, so we are very fortunate to have our volunteers like Dr. Tracy and she does for the community. And honestly, that's how we go throughout the state. Is people like Dr. Tracy's house, we really partner with them, not just financially, but we actually, promote them, and this is where they can go. We are the #1 resource. So to do what we do, we need our partners in the community in that area. So we've started projects like Dr. Tracy thought, like she was talking about. We've also started other projects. So like I said before, the education piece is so important, whether you're pre-diabetic or type 2 or type 1. And I think for pre-diabetics, that number is just so astronomical. And what are we doing so they're not going into the emergency room? So we've started some programs launching free that are basically going to be community-based education. And we're going to work with these patients for a year. Now, when I say they're in the community, we want them in the community education, whether we partner with church, whether we partner with, community centers, even with our youth. We're trying to partner with YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs, because those are the places that they are at. So we know that we can engage them there and give them the education. So those are a couple of the programs that we have launched to go into the community. Along with our education series, we've started launching many education series virtually, online, and also putting our state of diabetes in the correct zip code. And I say that because our state of diabetes, has been amazing sources of people, just doctors and educators that have so much information to give. But if we put them in the larger cities and demographically, we're missing something. So what we're trying to do now is take our state of diabetes, especially in Florida, to zip codes that really need it. It's 100% free. It is a health expo. So everyone that is coming there, not speaking, but just vendors and tables are giving resources, whether it's your pharma, your insurance. There's just so much information. So we want to make for sure that projects like the ADA is doing like that is taken to the community. If we expect the community members to come to us, they already have burdens, and the burden of diabetes is huge. we don't want to add to that, the burden of transportation, the burden of being financially having to pay for something. So that's what we're trying to take out of the equation and just help them with their diabetes.
Now, Micah, as I'm listening to you talk about the services and programs that you have for those specific zip codes, which typically will take care of your underserved communities, a lot of your Black and Brown individuals. I'm in a community, family members have diabetes. How do I get to you? Or how do I find out about you? Are you in the churches within the community? Are you in what types of organizations? We know about Dr. Tracy's house, but what other organizations can I touch or have people go to that they will already know about?
So the best way to get in Florida, regardless of where you're at, is basically on our webpage at the www.diabetes.org. And there is a list of organizations that you will find with your zip code, whether it is the community center or the church or people that we're helping fund people living with diabetes. It is literally listed there. There's also, you can always send us an email through that website, and we will respond back to it with the education services that we provide in your area. But what we really want to focus on is that they're in your area. So that's the reason why I want to make for sure that they know there's resources out there, but we just have to communicate that. So we are trying to do a better communication, not only with the web, because that can be an issue as well, not having the technology side of it, but maybe
there you go.
Physicians, our health clinics have that information as well. Our free care centers have that information. So when they do leave, they have a flyer, they have a pamphlet, that's something that has the ADA logo, so they can always contact us through phone or email to find out where to go.
Sherryl,
thank you. Yeah,
Sherryl, this has just been on my heart. Now here in Tampa, I go to First Baptist Church of College Hill. That's considered one of the major Black institutions of worship. Here in town, my pastor is Dr. Stanley Burrows. Cheryl goes to New Mount Zion. And it's also
Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church.
Right. And we have programs like these ADA church, structured, programs, in all the time. But sometimes, we get this come and go feeling. Certainly this was pre-COVID. And I know the ADA and other organizations are kind of looking to get back out. Cheryl, I wanted to put that out there because I would like to know your insight on that component and what can, Tracy's house do to, connect with, people of faith, and what can the ADA do differently to essentially, broker a more confident relationship with institutions of worship. Either of you.
Sure. Well, I'll start. So, with part of the programs that we do, we did it virtually. It's Live in Control. It's a 4-week program. We realized it takes a little bit longer, just the first week, just to get to know one another, sharing your story, because the part of learning is learning from each other. But you have to have time to trust and communicate amongst those individuals. But it's been very successful. But people are somewhat tired of, having to go. They may be at work on Zoom or on the internet. They want to be in person. So really the next phase of getting out is connecting with churches and being with, I did a breast cancer awareness event at a local community church, and we're going to set up time to go through the program there and invite other churches. So I think it's really going into the community and being there, very well received, and being able to share the wealth of information that the ADA offers in terms of educational materials, but also the time to communicate. And there's accountability when you are around other people that you fellowship with, and they can know whether you're doing what you need to do or not, and having that as a community. So that is the next phase of going out and really spreading the word and sharing the wealth of information that's out there.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, but we'll go ahead and let Michael go next, and then I'll come back with my feelings and thoughts.
No, I 100% agree. Like I said, it's the community, it's the word of mouth, it's the face-to-face. I agree. We went pretty much virtual for everything starting in 2020. And we pretty much did not come out of that virtual space until the end of last year. So I always say this has really been our first year to be able to go back to face to meet people. And I agree that for the working, sometimes it's so convenient to get your education through virtual, but I think we need to go back to the face. And I know that the ADA has been kind of silent in many communities since 2020. So our goal in 2022 was to get back out into the community, and we did that. We did that in small baby steps. And I feel like moving into 2023, we're seeing a lot more people saying, can we do this education first? Can we the virtual world, especially our youth as well? I think we did so much education for our youth virtually, and we all know that they need to be active. They need to face. So that's really been our goal 2022, and even more so in 2023, is take these virtual platforms as an option, but start going face to face.
I think those are two great options, and you're absolutely right. But then you have different parts of the demographics, especially with your younger generation. They're excited to still be online. From school, that might be a different component, but when it comes to something like this, you may have them. But when I think about my church, the New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church of Tampa, Florida, where the Reverend Larry L. Roundtree II serves as our pastor, and I'll give you a perfect example. We can name a couple of organizations that are prevalent at our churches, and you see them come to the services. They sponsor particular walks, and I'm not certain that the American Diabetes Association is right up there in that top, 3 or 4 groups. And that's why hearing Dr. Tracy talk about, going out into the churches, meeting with the people. You know what? This would have been a great week because it is Diabetes Awareness Month. Our pastor has been preaching on a series called Soul Food. And it actually is adopted from our culture and the food that we know as soul food, and why soul food is named soul food, and what all that entails, and how we as a culture have come to love and adore. And people already have their Thanksgiving soul food menus out today, but we've been having soul food meals on Wednesdays. Tonight was canceled because of the impending storm coming this way. However, what a great opportunity, though, for individuals like yourselves to say, wait, how did I get to come in and talk to you and say, all of the foods that you're eating here is great. However, for people who are, it is a word that Dr. Davis does not like to hear. And I said this to my husband's cardiologist when she said pre-diabetes. I said to her, Doc, you're either diabetic or you're not. It's like my doctor says, it's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. She said, you know what? Thank her for that, because I will stop using that term. But that being said, what a perfect opportunity to get in with where the people are, what they're used to, diets they're used to preparing, and get involved. I remember years ago, a person came to our church to teach on diets that were high in sodium, high in sugar. I learned so much from that I still remember to this day. And I believe in our community, that's really going to be needed. That hands-on experience and hearing the experts talk, like yourself with your testimony, Dr. Davis. It's in my family. I've lost 2 family members recently because of diabetes and complications with diabetes. And then we have Dr. Davis, who shared that information with our community about her and diabetes and brought some great guests on our show. I would love to see you all connect or hear more about it. I know, Micah, it's on the website, it's out there, but one of the things when we're talking to our seniors and other members of our church, that's not what they're looking for. They're not online. They're not websites are just, we have computer classes teaching them, but that's not where they are, a lot of them. And that's why I wanted to hear, how are you all getting out there and getting to the churches? So back to you, Dr. Davis.
Micah, I remember when there was the Community Leadership Board here in Tampa, where I had met Dr. Tracy. We actually had community volunteers. Now that we are quote unquote back outside, are there opportunities for members of the community to join in the mission and actively work with people in the American Diabetes Association?
Yes. So you were talking about the Community Leadership Board, and I know Dr. Tracy and I have spoken about it. So that's one of the things we are rebuilding because of 2020. You don't have, when everything shuts down, so does your volunteers. So unfortunately for the ADA, that was one of the areas I feel we hurt the most in, because when we had to shut all of our doors, all of our face-to-face, everything that we did to have a presence, to be relevant, to know that we're here, we didn't do any of that. So now we've re-strategized kind of coming back into person. So this year we started back engaging our CLB members and basically in the Tampa area. So who can we have? What do they do in the Tampa area? Dr. Tracy, Dr. Rodriguez is another one in the Tampa area. He does amazing with our Safe at School program. And we also do have employees in the Tampa area that are willing to go out. We would love to come to your church for soul food. So we have members, we have employees again. It's just a matter of basically engaging and getting that opportunity again. But we always have, like I said, you can always reach out to anyone on the ADA, and no matter where you are, we have opportunities.
And I did want to share that as part of what we learned, we realized that as a community, we fellowship over food. And so if you think about every month of the year, you could probably find a month that we are coming together and fellowshipping over food. And the time, you think about the holidays coming up and the time spent around the kitchen, the exchange, the stories that are told, the learnings that we get from our family, really making that as another opportunity to learn. So as we were doing the, more structured curriculum in terms of learning about diabetes, we realized adding on cooking classes so that we could share more ways of how to do, macaroni and cheese using some cauliflower in the air fryer. I have yes. And I have a wonderful chef Winoka Wendy Wilkes, who lives, she's a chef, but also lives with diabetes. And because of her autoimmune disease, required a kidney transplant. So she's able to create healthful food, not only for those with high blood pressure, kidney disease, and diabetes, but it's very tasty too. So we realize that that there's learning that comes through that and being able to do that. So that is another aspect that we are, working to expand. And I know most churches have a little kitchen, and we can use whatever you have to really think about the menus and what people want to know and want to learn to create, so that they are making better choices and that it gets the whole entire family. It becomes a family affair. Yes. It's more of a lifestyle. This is how we're going to live. This is something that it may be a take on grandma's special recipe, but this is grandma's recipe in the new 2022 version. So being able to take it and they have, be able to really communicate with them and to make sure that we're really, and there's learning that goes on even during the cooking class. So we have added that aspect. So it was, cooking with Dr. Tracy's house.
Oh, Dr. Davis, that is amazing. They have a commercial kitchen. We have a commercial kitchen. Yeah. This show is diabetes, but we're in your neighborhood. But guess what? You guys can do the cooking in the neighborhood too.
Yes, most definitely. So listen, we'll definitely be in touch to schedule some time.
Love it. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, so I was just giggling actually cackling really hard and suppressing my laugh because we are speaking to, our people. We're speaking to a minority community. Prior to the pandemic at First Baptist, every November, I did a diabetes awareness event where I remember we had Spice School, at one point, putting together different spices that didn't include, salt, like a Mediterranean mix, a poultry mix, things like that. So, we were doing Spice School at one point. But my goodness, I remember the lunch. It was a power bowl with quinoa, not rice. And obviously I couldn't, disclose what, well, not obviously, but I didn't disclose what lunch was. I just gave it, after they were hungry. And looking at quinoa, those questions came, what is it? That type of thing,
Yes.
and somebody had to taste it, to give it the okay, to bless it beyond, the prayer. And then it was like, oh, okay, this is good. So my thoughts in listening to the cauliflower mac and cheese, I'm like, wow, who's gonna get kicked out of Thanksgiving? Bringing that
over. And so that's why you tested. That's why we tested. I mean, I have some of my patients who have tried it, and they have promised me that they're going to at least try one new dish for Thanksgiving. Now they probably still gonna have, that sheet of macaroni and cheese, but she's gonna try just a smaller version. They're gonna try a smaller version. So yes.
You didn't say the green bean casserole. You said
no.
Oh wow.
Don't mess with that green bean casserole.
But I also, as another aspect, funded by the ADA, we do have a community garden behind Dr. Tracy's house. So we have, we did we planted the end of July. So we had okra. Oh. And so we did okra, and we roasted okra in the air fryer. We just we did a low salt, seasoning, and with a little bit of coconut oil, and put it in the air fryer. So there's no breading or anything like that. And it was delicious, fresh okra. Now the okra's gone, but we planted some collard greens. So there will be opportunities that we'll be able to do other things.
But Dr. Davis,
I think that's amazing. When I go to Eulalie's, it's one of those restaurants you don't go to all the time, but they actually have roasted okra, and I always get that because it's so nice. So I can imagine that that's good. I want to pivot just a little bit to more clinical side. Micah, can you share with us, and also Dr. Tracy, the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and what approach do we take in minority communities to help people know the difference? I'm sure both of you have heard what's commonly stated when we don't know any better. I don't want to change, from type 2 to type 1, or, how that happens. I know the answer, but please, as experts, tell our community, our listeners.
Well, I don't know if Dr. Tracy wants to give the diagnosis. She's probably way explained it better than I explained it to the community. So I'll let her start.
Okay. So type 1 diabetes is when your body doesn't produce insulin. So your body needs insulin from the very beginning. And that's typically we see it's diagnosed when individuals are younger. So their pancreas doesn't make any insulin. They have actually antibodies to those cells that produce the insulin. For type 2, your body is resistant to the insulin that you have. So that's the insulin resistance. So that your body is producing a lot of insulin, but your cells don't know how to use it. And so you have a lot of sugar that is just flowing in your bloodstream. And so it can get to a point where you need insulin outside, you need external insulin. So you can be a type 2 diabetic, and there's lots of medications out there that help your body use the insulin better. And so there's different drugs that help with that. But then there are some people who have type 2 diabetes who will need insulin in order to control their blood glucose level. So it is just depending if you have any insulin of your own, or if you do have it and your body just doesn't use it as much.
Absolutely. So not how you manage the diabetes, but how the diabetes comes about, right?
Yes, exactly.
Micah, are there different resources for type 1 and people with type 2 diabetes that the American Diabetes Association offers our public?
We have a specific education program for type 1. It's specific insulin dependent education program. It goes more in detail to the medications, to the pumps, and just really gets the patient, the person, really understand what they're living with. Where type 2 more into a little bit different lifestyle than what we go into the lifestyle with type 1. The one thing I will say, working with the community for the past few years, is I want to make for sure that everybody knows, like, there is a stigma with pre-diabetes and type 2. And I hope that people listened when Dr. Tracy was talking, because that's the one thing. I have people that come to me all the time that say, we didn't want to come forward because we had pre-diabetes or because we had type 2 because we did it to ourselves, or it means we're obese. And I hope they listened when she was talking, because that is the number one reason I find that sometimes they don't come. They don't come to the education classes, even when they're given the information, because they feel like somehow it was their fault of what they were eating. And it can be, like I said, it's not necessarily that. So that stigma, I want to get rid of it, send it out the door, and know that we are there. There is two different types of education we give, but if we can just wash that stigma away, because that is not the facts. The facts is what Dr. Tracy just said.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Dr. Tracy mentioned, there are lots of new medications out there with secondary benefits that address heart health, have a side effect of weight loss. They protect kidneys. They have a positive effect on cholesterol. Given that 2/3 of deaths associated with diabetes are from cardiovascular disease, are there assistance programs available that you know of and that you offer, or maybe just increase awareness about, that can help underinsured people or uninsured people have access to? Because ultimately, I know those direct costs associated with absenteeism at work, being in the hospital, etc. It's because of these cardiovascular complications, way more expensive than the drugs. So how do we help those that are underinsured?
So I can start what we do at Dr. Tracy's house, and utilizing a lot of the pharmacy companies. They do have assistance. So a lot of the drugs, if you go to, and again, that's what we do. That's why we're here, to help navigate the whole system, going online, applying for the assistance and the coverage. There are companies that, for those who have excess of, medications and insulin, for those who don't have insurance, there are ways for you to get that insulin without costing anything. And so really just working with each individual, with the insurance company, with the drug company, and without resources that are out there. And I know it can be overwhelming. And that's one of the keys. That's one of the reasons why we're here, to help navigate through that. And I'll, turn it over to Micah, because I know the ADA, they have resources for individuals. One last thing, one good thing in Hillsborough County is that for those who may not qualify for Medicaid, there is Hillsborough County insurance. So that will be able to help assist individuals going through the process of applying.
Yeah, so I want to make for sure. So we do have a copay program. It's copay assistance. And I say that because it is for those that do have some type of insurance bleeding into it. It's called copay assistance. It's within the ADA. You're allowed up to $1,500 at a time. Okay. What I will say is, when we do get those 7-figure donations to that copay assistance program, it goes very quickly. So if that tells you the need that we have, it's, we have that huge need. $1,500, it can be used for anything, whether it's a copay at a doctor's office, something, that they send you on to, If it's you need any kind of medication, it can be used for that. With the uninsured, that's where we work closely with our health departments. Like she said, every county is a little different, every area is a little different. So we really work with the health departments to make for sure that we can get them some kind of assistance, and then the pharmaceutical companies as well. But I always tell everybody, look at that copay assistance program. It's free, $1,500. And that $1,500 can really help out. So if there is an opportunity, please take it. I think it's a 1-page, fill it out. It's not a long form like you have to do at some of the health departments, but I always say that's $1,500. So look at it.
I absolutely had no idea about that.
Yeah, we have that link.
And when I say it goes quickly. So we get those donations specifically geared toward the copay assistance program. And there has been multiple, when we get those 7-figure donations, it's just the need. The need is so great that we can't even keep up with it.
Okay.
How does one know when that cycle opens, when you can apply? And I have a follow-up question, Mike, but I just had to ask that. Yeah.
So it's always open on our website, but when you do go there, when they see it, we try to give it to all of our, so we have a huge population of diabetes educators that are credited with the ADA, and we usually send it out with them because they see a lot of those people. But what I can tell you is it is always open, but it will tell you that either the funds are there, the funds are not there when you go on to apply.
Okay.
But please check it out, because sometimes you never know.
Okay, so my question before I learned about these free $1,500, and I don't want to just dwell on that, but I'm going to come back to it. Dr. Tracy and I mentioned about those medications that are available to help mitigate the cardiovascular risk associated with diabetes. But, the medicines is just a part of what we need for self-management and control. There used to be this soul food cookbook with Ronice and Fabiola, two very accomplished African-American dietitians on the cover of the book. What cool things does ADA have that may be helpful, immediately helpful to the African-American or brown, audience, Black and brown audience?
So like many things, we have taken that cookbook and it is our diabetes food hub. So we have thousands of recipes on our diabetes food hub. Unfortunately, we don't have much of it in print. We just don't have. I know we have talked about that cookbook, and I know they are amazing. I hear amazing things about the cookbook. I can't tell you how many times I get asked about the cookbook. So I hope that maybe next year at this time, I can tell you I have the cookbook back in a reversion of 2023. But right now it's our diabetes food hub, and it is being utilized. We get 30 million hits a year on that diabetes food hub, and there's thousands and thousands of recipes. Also, it's different languages. So, with the Hispanic community, that was one thing that, have these recipes out there, but, we speak Spanish and we'd like to share this with our family and our caregivers. So that's one of the things that we did change as well, to try to make for sure everyone has access and, it's available, but it's our diabetes food hub.
Okay. I love that. Love that. Quick pivot to one of these, co-conditions that comes with diabetes. I noticed when I was preparing for the show and scrolling online that the ADA also highlighted mental health awareness as a part of Diabetes Awareness Month. Let's speak on that before we wrap up.
Yeah, so for us, we know that diabetes is a stressor. We know the burden of diabetes itself, the diagnosis is just can be a huge stressor. So what we did is we partnered with a lot of mental health, psychologists, institutionaries, and the healthcare systems to provide those resources. We want to make for sure that whether it's at diagnosis, pre or post diagnosis, that we can simplify your routine to take that stressor out of there. Mental health, it's an issue with wherever we go right now. So we know that put a primary focus on that and make that one of our initiatives going into 2023. And to do that, we provide the resources to the communities of where they can go.
Awesome. And Tracy's House on Mental Health? Tell us about it.
Yes, so we do partner. We actually have consultants. We are working as the next phase of Dr. Tracy's House is to have on staff behavioral health specialists. But that's why, in terms of our focus at every visit is self-care. Mm-hmm. So looking at what are the things that you're doing, because we're stressed, we got a lot of things going on. What are the things that you're doing on a daily basis to feed back into yourself, whether it is meditation, whether it's time that you just need to turn everything off and just be quiet and listen, going for walks. So really focusing at every visit, really going through and thinking of ways that we can focus on self-care. Because I think that is, and also community, like what's your support system, and helping individuals find that support system. And if they don't have a support system, they can just stop by and we'll be the support system. They can sit in our little living room area and just, listen, it's early, but I did put up the Christmas tree and the lights are on because I needed to feel it like it's at home. So there are things we do that on a daily basis to ensure that everyone feels like there's support, because it is a journey. This is not something that's going to turn and change in a day or two. It's a journey. So what are we doing, and empowering everyone to have the tools that they need in order to do what they need to do, take their medication, advocate for themselves when they're going to see the doctor, and really advocating for others, because that's what I think happened during COVID, is we weren't able to be with every one another. And so we used to be able to go to the doctor's office and hear what's going on and be able to say, no, you had something going on before, and I needed to bring that up to the healthcare provider. So again, creating that community again, and reestablishing that community.
Pouring into self. I love it. Sure.
Yeah. And I also love being the advocate. Listen, at the onset of the show, we talked about, Dr. Davis asked you all about your passion. Why are you so passionate about diabetes awareness? And we can see it. I can actually feel it as we are interviewing you as a part of this show. And Michael, I would love, we have this platform, Dr. Davis and I support different community initiatives. You find us physically there because it's important to us. That being said, I would love nothing more than to have Michael come here and we all go and visit Dr. Tracy Thompson at Dr. Tracy's house. Do the next show from there when we come together. I just think it's so important because our audience love the way we get to do a show on the go, where we go to different places. Like, for instance, just a few months ago, we were at Dr. Davis's office with some of our guests. That being said, we've covered a lot. I could actually, and I was listening for different terms because you all are the experts, and we wanted to hear some of those, and you can see them. We have them up on our flyer, and there's a neat little flyer about key terms for diabetes, and you all covered so many of them. I'll ask my admin to post them after our show. Michael, we certainly want to post that link so that we can learn more about that $1,500, especially with people who have insurance, but then you fall in that little gap where you still need some additional assistance. We love that. So let me take this opportunity to say thank you for being a host on our show today and sharing and helping us to bring awareness to diabetes this month. I'd like to ask, and with the time that we have, let's do this. We have two guests. Please give us 2 takeaway points that you can leave with our radio listening audience. And remember, we're global. 2 points, starting with you, Michael.
The first point I would like to make is that we want to make for sure we know we're a huge resource nationwide, but we are a resource for you and your community. I am not going to teach you how to shop at a store that's an hour away. We are not going to teach you how to cook if it's not even in what you like. So I want to make for sure that they know the ADA. When you reach out to us, we are not going to show you something that is not within your ability to have every single day. And then the second thing I would like to say is that, we have been advocating. We will continue to advocate, in Tallahassee to get our insulin copay, that's $35, to make for sure it's with the uninsured and the insured, to make sure everyone is considered equal when it comes to that. We will advocate in our school systems to make for sure all of our children living with diabetes have the care, and we will advocate for you in your workplace. We are there to support you in whatever you need when it comes to that. We're just here to advocate for those living with diabetes.
Well, thank you for being an advocate, and thank you for connecting for life. We'll pivot over to you, Dr. Tracy. 2 takeaway points for our guests.
Yes, 2 points. So if you, to know your numbers. So if you do have diabetes, to know your number, and that is your hemoglobin A1C. That's how your blood sugar has been over the past 3 months, but also to know if you're at risk. Yes. So there is on the ADA side that you can go to do a pre-diabetes screen. It asks you questions, whether you've had a family history, whether of diabetes. It asks if you've had if you had gestational diabetes while you're pregnant, your age, your body mass index, your weight. So it asks those questions to see you if you're at risk. And if you're at risk, please see your healthcare provider to get screened for diabetes. So know your numbers. And the second thing is self-care. Self-care is so important. Taking care of yourself so that you can pour into others. I like to do it just like they say on the plane. Put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Please take care of yourself, especially to all the women out there. Take care of yourself. Make sure you go get every screenings that you need so that you can help others. So
okay, 2 great points. And listen, Dr. Davis drills that home. She's been doing this. We're going on our 4th year with this show. Know your numbers. So thank you for that one, and self-care, as I've heard both of you talk about the importance of that. Thank you for those takeaway points. We know that our audience will be better for having listened to what you all had to share with us today. We'll bring Dr. Davis back so that she can wrap us up, and I'll close with announcements. Again, thank you so much. Dr. Davis?
Thank you again, Micah and Dr. Tracy, for taking time to share with our audience today. I absolutely love your closing points. Dr. Tracy, you can't pour from an empty cup. And also, Micah, that you are here in our community, and that the ADA is doing more to reconnect with our community in terms of advocacy for better prices, in terms of this $1,500 that we let our audience know about, and also how to, ways that we can enjoy the foods that we like and prepare them, all there from the ADA website with the you said 30,000 hits, because that resource is there, and apparently the food is good. The recipes are nice because it's getting so much attention. So that being said, we'd love to have you guys back at any time. Show on the go, resource and a voice to make sure that our community knows. And Micah and Dr. Tracy, we appreciate you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen to our radio listening audience. Thank you for tuning in today. Please, we know some of you will catch the show on the weekend. Like and share. Next week for the 3rd hour of the show, my co-host Diva J, Jeanette Hoare-Smith will be here. And it's a phenomenal show. We are bringing in a local artist. Dr. Davis, you know her. You may know her as well, Tracy. And that's J.M. Bradley Urban Art. Jeanette Bradley will be hosting an event on Black Friday in Ybor City. We'll post that flyer up. And as well, my co-host, El Diva Couture, she will be hosting the Jingle Bell Bazaar. Dr. Davis and I have been there every year from the beginning, and we're looking forward to it. And this year, they're giving out scholarships, $500 scholarships to the youthpreneurs. And if you've never attended the Jingle Bell Bazaar, I think it's the second Sunday, but we'll have that information up in December. She'll be on the show next week. It's a must see. It's in Centennial Park. The weather is always beautiful. Hundreds and hundreds. A perfect place for ADA to be there, a perfect place to disseminate information to hundreds of local community leaders. So we will see you all back on next week. And if that's it, a huge thank you. Thank you to our DJ CEO. Congratulations. He has a new, I thought he was going to say something, a new son-in-law in the family.
Wow.
Congratulations to the Johnsons.
Thank you. Not yet. It's on Friday.
There he is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This show is a wrap.
Wow.